I haven't looked at the Reason store for a very long time, did this morning, and saw Batas drum kits, free little refill. It's not entirely little, from, oh, isn't that terrible? I've forgotten their name already. From JhonataNLopez.com? Something like that. It's worth having a look at. He seems to be an individual developer who's put together some sample things. There was actually a base which I thought looked quite interesting, but there didn't really seem to be any way to see, try, understand any better. So I thought I'd have a look at this, give a sense of style. I noticed that he, she, they, indifferent, cats, penguins, hadn't put together a video for their product, which I think's sort of a shame. I think that they think they know what they've got, and no one else is going to rightly know what they've got. Maybe it's because they just want people to do what I've done and download it. But can give it a bit of a go. Batas I take to be Spanish maybe for battery, things that one hits with sticks, drums. What I've pulled out sounds something like this, and we'll look in detail a little bit as we go. There is some processing here. That's entirely how these might sound in a track. The MIDI I took from an Ugratone black metal thing. That was one of the slowest things that I could find. In no way have I attempted to run all the way through the kit. You can do that yourself. I downloaded it, put it into my refill place. You've got these 4 main kits which come in Combinator 2s, reasonably well arranged, except for this. The master level doesn't seem to be attached to anything at all. Good effort for checking, but everything else seems to work pretty well, so for now we'll let them off that one. You've got these 4 main kits which are put together. Inside you've got options for compressor which you can turn on and off, and for EQs. That's a little bit backwards in my estimation, just to have EQ off. Why not just set it to on? But again, doesn't really change anything that happens. Pressure, okay, is a combination of drive and threshold. Fair enough, I didn't really play with the compressor in there. And then you've got each of the elements put together. And so here we've got kick, we've got different versions, sample things from that. Let's have a listen. Let's just solo our kick. So you can pretty nicely set up the balance of these elements. So the Gretsch drum kit comes out of the box sounding, well, fairly like this. We'll strip it back in a moment, but you can balance up the various, I believe, microphone choices that have been made, and there is a fair difference in those for most of the options. Kicks, snares, all that kind of stuff. And then, of course, you can balance the main parts of the kit as well. I did find the cymbals in particular to be pretty darn loud, but cymbals can be pretty darn loud. So, you know, if you're hoeing into them, they will get loud. So you've got a pretty broad setup for all of your sounds inside this box. Cool. So that's those. You've then got NNXTs, which are just the individual things. Like, let's say we take these cymbals and pull them out. They're all just in a pile here. So that gives you a little more dedicated ability to have a look at them and put them together. And then you get into these, which are similar sorts of things. Those ones, let's just get out of that. So let's see, they're your actual samples. There's a fair amount of variety in there, which I'm not sure is fully expressed or fully given justice to in the top layer. But The whole approach to these, I think, at least on the surface, is that that you come in and you've got a usable drum kit. That's sort of what I want. If I reach for power drum kits or something like that, I just want a drum kit I can get going with. And these seem to provide that pretty nicely. So that's that MIDI that's been pulled in, and we'll cut right back to raw. We'll leave a little bit of control there so that we don't get overexcited. That's getting rid of saturation in the master room and pulverizer. So there's a little bit of sense of some space around it, but not in an intrusive way. So it's entirely possible to just push into your favorite compressor or whatever. And get a nice sound. I like to have a lively room, so I've just relatively thoughtlessly dropped in an RV7000. If you want to push harder, of course, feels like we're getting a nice, lively sort of sound. If I'm to say, okay, I want to swap kits, let's go with this Mapex Armory. I was thinking about it still. There's a little bit of load time, but it's amusing. So you can hear those cymbals are a little much. But easy enough to adjust. Again, I'm getting nothing out of the master level. Fixable, I'm sure, not the end of the world. Would be nice if it was done. So I think that's really cool. The next one is this Saturn. Let's let it just load itself up. I loaded these a couple of times whilst Reason was running. No dramas at all. Or the Tama. Actually, I'm not sure whether I've actually opened the Tama kit. So there might be a surprise. And there we go. Let's be a little bit kinder there. Okay, nice, tidy, tight sounding kit. That is pretty cool. If we were to pull off this and use one of my most favoritist things in the whole world, then Scream. The overdrive in Scream does tend to rip out all the bottom end. No reason that you can't EQ it back in. It's just nature of the beast. That's kind of cool. Little too furry. So you can impart a fair amount of character on these, and of course the tape. which has its own sort of compression type thing built in. Not that I love it, but it does compress. If we drag our reverb after. All layers thereof. The Tama actually seems the most uncoloured. Here's just a drum kit of the lot, so it's the safest of the lot, but each is pretty variable if you go in. So if you choose to go in and go, okay, I'm going to rejig the way these kicks are balanced up. Let's say we pull out that and push up that. And if we bring this in, cool. So there's a fair amount of flexibility quite quickly. Obviously, the more you know about working with drum mixers and what have you, the easier that's going to be. Or there's our kick. Sorry, the EQ was off, which is kind of annoying. Oh, no, it was on because I turned it on manually. So I think there's a lot going on. Obviously limited by the nature of particularly a simple use of Combinator 2. Possibly they could have gone a little harder, but it's a free thing, and maybe this is relatively new for them. So the idea of putting together a really complex kind of panel might have just been either not worth it to them or beyond where they were at. Their focus seems to be on the studio and the recording of their drum kits, and I think for the price that they really are very nice and are a nice step up from the that power drum kit. I like the power drum kit. I think it's very, very capable, especially when you know how to use it. But if you're looking for something that feels a bit less processed, a little bit more like a real drum kit. Obviously, these are very much real drum kits. Then if you're on the Reason platform, then these Batas are well worth a look, especially if they do stay free. But don't just assume that getting these drum samples is going to suddenly give you a great kit. You do need to mix them, and obviously the more you know about drum mixing and mixing in general, the more excitement and value you'll get out of them. But I think they're very, very cool, and would be fairly eager to check out the bass as well, because that sort of seemed like it might be a bit interesting. So if you're watching Batas people, happy to and see what happens, see what I think about that as well. Any broad questions? I'm not a representative of this company. Any broad questions? Ask them on down below. If you want to hire me, either for reviewing, because this is what I spend a lot of time doing now, or for my real love, which is mixing or production work, down below as well. You've got the link to my website. Go over there, check out what I do, how I do it, and reach out. Talk to me. There's no harm in talking to me. Most importantly, have a great day.